what's up, everybody? Before I had begin, I was sitting here contemplating, thinking about how I would start the introduction to this video. But in all honesty, I kind of made it clear in some of my Facebook posts already. Excuse me, some of my Facebook posts already that for the rest of this week, I am going to be basically honoring my Aunt Brenda every single day, leading all the way up until Sunday of, the start of Sunday for next week. So today is going to be what I was not, it wasn't personal. It was business related. We were interrupted for my reading of my tribute to my Aunt Brenda, or my story, whichever one you want to call it, due to time constraints. I mean, we had used up the specific amount of time that was given to us, and unfortunately, I didn't get to finish it live during the service. So what I decided that I was going to do was read the entire story here. At first, I was going to do it live, but I figured for me, it'd be easier just to record it because then I couldn't have any interruptions, although it probably would have been better to have done it, live where there would be interaction. But you guys can obviously just leave your comments and your love and support, which you've already done. And truly, my mother, my cousins, my aunts, uncle, the entire family, friends, everyone in general, we are truly thankful and we appreciate all your love and support during this time. So, that being said, let me go ahead and get started, and I will be reading again, like I said, from the beginning. If you want me to post the entire thing afterwards, just let me know and I will. But I hope to speak with clarity, just like I did this past Tuesday, reading everything word for word, the way that it was intended to be if the full ordeal had been said during the service. So, even though, well, depending on whenever you read this, I guess it would be morning or afternoon or evening for you. But the original paper says good afternoon. So I'll start from there. First, let me thank all those in attendance and those watching live via Facebook. I also want to thank all those responsible for making this homegoing celebration possible. Though this is an unprecedented and unusual way of a traditional program due to the COVID-19, I am still very grateful that we are able to make it possible. Hopefully this will be the first and last time we have our loved ones be honored in this magnitude. I also want to give my sympathy, love, and support for all those who are in attendance that have lost friends and loved ones to the COVID-19 virus, and I command it to cease and desist in the name of Jesus, which I truly do believe in Jesus' name. That's me ad-libbing just now. Last, I want to make it known that I have the utmost love for my auntie, and the things I say aren't to be taken in a negative manner, nor am I desecrating her legacy. Hence the reason why my story is called Regret, Remember, Rejoice, because I am embracing both the good and bad times, knowing that the final outcome will be the best times. With that, I begin my story with the last day I spent and spoke to my Aunt Brenda. I saw her on the weekend of her birthday in March. She asked me if I was taking her out to eat and where she wanted to go. So naturally, of course, I ended up taking her where she wanted to go. Of course, her being a cook for so many years, she critiqued the food that was being served to her, what tasted good, what needed more work, and all the rights and wrongs in between. Then we went to the mall and I offered to get her something sweet, and I know she loves the Cinnabons from the Cinnabon store. The day ended with me giving my auntie a hug and kiss on the forehead and telling her that I love her very much and hope she enjoyed her birthday overall, to which she replied with the same response and said she did. That's also me ad-libbing the same response because she did respond to me with the same stuff in her way, with the bob and everything. Um, Fast forward to April. Now, lately, I hadn't been picking up the phone when she called due to me being at work or asleep, and usually I would find out from her mother what she was calling about. Excuse me. However, that day, in particular, after I got off work, I immediately called her back. She was calling to tell me that she was proud, or tell me how proud she was of my accomplishment for receiving the Amazon Driver and Employee of the Month award for April. Also, she didn't neglect to remind me that I got all my driving skills from her. Brenda would love to tell you right up and forward, right in front of your face, that she did everything that you know or learned or have been come to a realization of. That was her trait, but that's all right. That's my auntie. Um, so where did I leave off at? Okay, here we go. Also, well, no, that's the same thing. I already read that. That's the whole point I just made to you guys. So here we go. She was calling to tell me that she loves me. And of course, as in usual fashion, like siblings does, she and my mother were on the phone with me debating about something that was unnecessary but funny to me. Now, I'm going to add another piece in here, too, that I didn't say in here, which I do have time to do now. Those two they weren't really bickering per se. What it was I believe Aunt Brenda was going to talk to me separately on the phone without my mom there. And I made a comment about, the fact that we were all there. So I was trying to figure out, since she had already called me and told me what she wanted to tell me, because that's what she said. She had already called me and told me she wanted to tell me. I was trying to figure out what else was it that we were supposed to talk about. Not, because that's the way me and Aunt Brenda was. Like, I mean, I would find out what she wanted to talk about because usually it was something pertaining to, movies or something on her cooking show or just, random stuff that me and her talk about. And it's not that I wanted to put it off or anything. I was merely just trying to find out so I knew, since my mom wasn't going to be on the phone no more, what were she and I going to talk about? And I don't know if she had taken it the wrong way or out of context, because then she had just basically said, never mind, you just go ahead and go talk to your mom because clearly she wants to talk to you. Because I had only asked the one question, but I'm just summing it up in detail about what it was that I asked. My mom, on the other hand, had said more stuff, which triggered my aunt. And then them two went into the whole, like I said, the debating about the situation. That's when Aunt Brenda basically got off the phone and she said what I was getting ready to say next, which was, so I told her I love her, and of course we both said we would talk to each other later. And then she ended up getting off the phone, and I stayed on the phone with my mom for a little bit longer until I got home. And then, of course, they talked. They had talked later on that evening, I think. I know they talked definitely on Sunday before everything had taken place, between early Sunday morning to or late Sunday evening into early Monday morning. But I know for a fact that they were talking about what they were going to eat, and they were watching TV and stuff like that. So back to my story. I just wanted to give some more insight on, what led up to certain things before I continued into the rest of the story. Because from this point on, it's just basically me reading everything that was left over. So little did I know, her birthday along with that Saturday, those were the last moments that I would ever get to see or speak to my Aunt Brenda. By early Monday morning, I was awakened to my mother's upsetting sounds of sadness. I went upstairs to find out what was going on, and she gave me those fateful words with much pain and grief in her voice and eyes. Upon hearing the news, I had to remind her that she must remain faith strong, strong as a rocking foundation that I know God has instilled in her. We immediately went to my aunt's residence. After the debriefing with the detective, we finally saw my aunt, to which I couldn't believe that she was gone. My mother spoke the words of God, and she said she loved her and that she would see her when she gets to heaven. She also said basically that she wants, this is another piece as well, but she talked to me about this. But she said that she wanted her sister to meet her at the gates behind St. Peter when she gets there, so they can have their talk and discussion, and they can go on in there together and do what they got to do and see Jesus and enjoy all the kingdoms that they are supposed to be rewarded when they get into heaven. So Brenda already got a head start. When she get there, we'll get her stuff as well. So where are we? Here we go. As I stood there with my mother, I began to contemplate all the things that had just happened, and yet through it all, I was happy I had at least talked to my auntie before her passing, and she did make phone calls throughout the day to different friends and family members. This was all done on Sunday, from what I understand. Some to which I know who didn't get the opportunity to do so and how it would affect them. Which leads me to you, Dawn, because I know that she did try to call my cousin, but she was asleep. And it's been one of the things that had been bothering Dawn a lot, that she did not get to talk to her mother. And she has like a guilt that's eating at her because of that. And, you know, in her time, she will heal from that. I believe, God, that she will. And she has her family to help her through that situation. So it's not something that she should really dwell so much on, and that's very easy to say, as opposed to, you know, being able to mentally process all of that during the problems or the situations or the grief that she is feeling at the moment. But she shouldn't feel that way, because she know her mama loved her, and she loves her mother very much, as you all know. In any case, I said to her, this is me talking to Dawn, I said, I know that you and I have taken different paths and outlooks on life, and at times we rarely even talk to one another. I want you to know, though, that I will always love you, and you have always been more like an older sister to me. You definitely have your mother's outgoing and adventurous personality and spirit. I sympathize and can only partially understand how you truly feel. When you lost your mother, my aunt, in many ways it was almost as if I lost my very own mother, because that's how close of a family we've all been for all our lives. Which is true, because um, Brenda has like given me a lot of insight on things that, you know, from her side of living, that my mother doesn't have from her side of living. So I got the best of both worlds, because I got to encounter and experience things that my mother was, as a, you know, protector like she's supposed to, kept me from certain things that I wasn't exposed to. Not saying that my aunt put me in a position where I was exposed to things I shouldn't have been exposed to, but it also gave me a different outlook on things, so that way I could be able to dictate the difference between both comparisons and make it be impactful, I guess, or um, just basically balance it with what it is that I do on an everyday basis for my life. So that's the way I look at it from, you know, at least from my perspective on the things that my aunt taught me and the things that we discussed, and then the things that my mother and I have discussed and taught me. Meshing those two things together I can take bits and pieces from both aspects and adapt it to the way that I'm supposed to live every day. That's how I look at that. And the same goes for my two little rat nuggets, Nevaeh and Tamaya. You two are my favorite cousins, which means if your mother is like a sister to me, that makes you my nieces. I watched you both grow up from the time I held you both in my arms to the times I sit, listen, listening, or listening, excuse me, listening to your silly and weird but fun and funny stories. I tell you, man, them girls can talk. You think I'm talking long? I've been talking for 15 minutes by the time I said this, but them two, especially Nevaeh, Lord have mercy, that girl, she can go and just be talking about so many unnecessary things, but it's just the way that she lights up about those things she's talking, and then her sister, of course. If you don't see them two basically without each other, and she just love to pluck her sister nerves. But again, just like my mother and Aunt Brenda, that's the way they do. Siblings do that, but they love each other regardless of how they act towards each other. They love each other when it all comes down to it. I've seen when they both defend each other when it comes to certain things. So I know that love is truly there. Um. Anyways, it says here, I will say this: no matter how much you or your mother or my mother plucked your Grammy's nerves, from the homework to the cleaning up rooms to the cooking and the washing clothes, whenever she and I talked about it, she always ended it with, but that's my daughters, babies, and sister, and I love them. So none of you ever forget that. I too will have to live with the same regrets, some in different ways as you, but together as a family we will overcome them. I regret that Aunt Brenda passed at such a young age. I regret all the times Aunt Brenda asked me to go get items for her that were not great for her health, and that she had a hard time giving up those items that did more harm than good. I regret that Aunt Brenda in her later years had to deal with reoccurring pain and differences or different areas of her body. I regret that Aunt Brenda will never get to see her daughter or I get married. I regret that Aunt Brenda will never get to meet the wife God will send me and her future great nephews and nieces. I regret that Aunt Brenda will never get to celebrate her grandchildren's 16th birthday or their prom or their high school graduation. I regret that Aunt Brenda will never be able to go on another family vacation. I regret all the times Aunt Brenda and I had an argument and went months without talking to one another, only to just casually go back to normal. And that those type of situations actually stuck with me pretty hard. It did. Like I said, Brenda was and is and always will be my favorite auntie. And when she and I had disagreements about things that they're almost on par with the stuff that her and mama used to have disagreements about. And she told me, they had did things like that too. The same thing where they just went without talking to each other for months. You can't do stuff like that. I mean, it seems like it's easy to say that now, but it's true. You really can't. Time is so precious and it's so short. It's just like that. It's gone within. You just listen to me, really, for real. Take heed of the time that you have with your family members and your friends. Now, everybody ain't for everybody. I'm talking about friends related. You don't have to embrace and accept everybody because there are people that are in your lives that you don't need. But family is forever. And I'm not saying that you have to take up, all their responsibilities, their trials and tribulations, but you are meant to be there for them to help them get through things that are, challenging or put on them that they feel so weighted. But that doesn't mean you have to bring yourself down to their level. And that's whether it be friends or family. But you do need to make sure that, you're there to help those individuals if you have something to bring to the table And you just don't want to waste time being upset or angry about things that they really truly don't matter. They don't. Not on the comparison or not on the level of life. You know what I mean? Because it comes and then it's gone. And you need to make the best of every opportunity and time and decisions that you make with those individuals. So just keep that in mind too, really. Um, I regret that Brenda will never know that for me it took her passing to finally make peace and reunite with my father. I know that they always talked and she was his best friend. He is currently battling the COVID virus, to which I believe and thank God for his healing and health, as we have much work left to be done as father and son. Now, I'm not trying to put all of our business out. It may seem like that from the way that I talk, but I ask that you also keep him in your prayers in addition to my aunt, Cleo. That's another one of my mom's sisters. She is the matriarch for the family line for our side of the family. Um, and she recently uh, tested for a mild case of the COVID-19 virus. But we, as believers, those of us who are in agreement, that demon is a foul, evil spirit, and he has no place whatsoever on God's property. We call all of them to be healed from the crown of their head to the soles of their feet, 100% in the name of Jesus. I confess that all of their health needs are met immediately because the devil cannot win. He can only do what you allow him to do. And if you confess and believe and have the faith to live out the actions that you are designed to do, you can't win. So don't let him win. Don't. Let's see. I also thank God that I was awake to have caught this one, but I regret the one night last year I heard my Aunt Brenda crying out for help. I came to her aid in the state I saw her in, both physically and mentally, while I was on the phone with 911 was one of the most challenging ordeals I ever had to do on my own until help arrived. Which brings me to the aftermath of that situation. I regret that I was sometimes awake or awakened to my Aunt Brenda both day and night yelling at me, thinking that I was talking bad about her to others and the things she would say about me. I was angry at her for so long, not realizing what I should have known due to my relationship with the Lord, that it wasn't my Aunt Brenda doing this. It was the devil attacking both of our minds in different ways. That sat with me for a long, long time. Because when going back to that day, I still remember it vividly as if it was literally just yesterday, but obviously it wasn't. That situation happened at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had all my I usually sleep with my stuff on, but it was completely quiet down where I was at. I happened to hear her just hollering and screaming for help, and so I went back. I went upstairs and I did what I could to help. Um, the doctors still think to that day when they had discussed it. Well, not even the doctors. The ER that I spoke with, he asked me specific questions, and the questions that he asked me, and the answers that I gave him based off of what I was seeing. And I did tell him about my aunt's heart condition and the defibrillator that she had inside of her body. Um, I didn't have all of her medicals right there in front of me, the medicine, because Brenda took a lot of different medicine, and there was certain ones that she had out and about, and then there was ones that she just had concealed in her purse or her little basket. So, um, basically, what I'm trying to get to is that they were under the impression that she may have had a stroke based off of the way that I was explaining how her face looked, how she was responding to what it was that I was saying, um, just her reaction towards certain things. I don't mean to upset anybody if anybody is, hurt or upset. I'm just trying to give some insight. Like I said, this is a remembrance of my aunt, and these are things that I had to encounter and deal with, both the good and the bad, like I mentioned in the beginning of this letter. But I'm giving more insight towards certain things, so people can have a little bit of clarity as opposed to what transpired during the leading up to the points of Aunt Brenda's passing. Um, so I don't know, because they even Aunt Brenda had told me, excuse me, she had said that she didn't have no stroke. Um, but when the EMTs came to get her out of the house, and the way she was not really being cooperative or responsive then either, it to me seemed like, I went back and looked at some of the information, and it did seem like she had signs of it during that time. Um, but I can't say for certain because I'm not a medical doctor. I don't have any practice in it whatsoever. I only go based off of the facts and the information that I recollected for myself to understand, if this was what matched up with what Brenda was displaying and showing me during that day. Um, but she ain't feeling none of that now, because she is happy and whole and in her new body that God has created for her. So even if all this was the case, and this is speculation or theory or whatever the case may be, she don't feel none of that stuff no more. So I'm truly happy for that. My aunt is having a high old great time up in heaven right now. She is. So I just, I thank God that she is all right. She is. That makes me very, very happy, regardless of how I feel about any of the other stuff. Which, as I will continue here, so as I leave the regrets and enter into the remembrances, I ask Aunt Brenda that you forgive me for all and any negative thoughts or traits there I had. I may have made a typo on that, but what it's supposed to say is, so as I leave the regrets and enter into the remembrances, I ask Aunt Brenda that you forgive me for any and all negative thoughts or traits that I had ever shown towards you. That's what it's supposed to say. So now let's get to the things I remember about Aunt Brenda. My auntie may have had a defibrillator due to a bad heart, but also due to her displays of friendliness, kindness, funny, and love she showed. You could say that she had the exact opposite and had a good heart. Now, these are pretty much self-explanatory, so I don't really need to go into no detail about those. Um, we begin our first on the list with what I call the 4 levels that my auntie used when she called my name. Level 1, which I mentioned at the service, was Billy. When she said this, she was always serious. Then for level 2, whenever I walked into a room and she was on the phone, she would jokingly say, Billy Bob Thornton. For me, level 3 was the one she knew that plucked my nerves because it sounded like a frog, but now I embrace it wholeheartedly. Bob. I've seen her do it in person too. It's way worse than that, but it was still funny. It plucked my nerves, man. It did. Um, and finally, the one she used the most, level 4. Now, I would never tell her, but secretly, it was always my favorite standard greeting. I would say, "Hey, Aunt Brendie," and she would say, "Hey, Bob." Every time, man, that I can still hear that one in my head more than any of the other ones. That really is my favorite one. But when she was excited about something and she wanted to share it with me, I could always hear this one whenever I was in the house, and it would go, "Hey, Bob." Let me tell you, man. That I know I said I ain't really got to explain something, but some of these I do, because like that one specifically, man. I mean, I would just be chilling somewhere, and out of nowhere, that that girl that girl would just come out of nowhere and hit me with it. And sometimes she was so excited about whatever it was, she couldn't even wait for me to respond. She got to run over to the door. She got to run over to the door and tell me something that I probably already knew. Like, and it usually was something related, again, like I said, to a movie or something new today coming out, whether it be food that she liked or anything of that magnitude. It's just ridiculous how she just would come over there and just she moved fast for something that's really exciting for her. I tell you that. I've seen her move when she was really excited about getting to tell you or get to something. Yeah. So that was the Hey Bob one, those two versions or whatever. But in any case, we're gonna move on here. While we're on the topic of names, I remember my mother calling her. That's why I pointed at her yesterday, because I can't say that. My mother, it's spelled Bren, like I said right here, but I'm going to butcher it because she says it a certain way. But I'll probably mess it up. But it sounds like Burr instead of Brenda. But she's really just saying it, and like I said, it's better to hear from her. She said, because I can't do it. Burn, burn. I can't do it. It's, that's a unique technique that my mother got for her sister to call her that. So I'm gonna leave that to her. That's hers, not mine. Um. So now I'm gonna address my mother, like I said here in the story. I said, "Mama, I truly do sympathize for the passing of your dear sister. I know just how important she was and how much you loved her. You already know this because I told you, but I'm telling everyone else. I remember when you were in the hospital a couple years ago and how when Aunt Brenda was on the phone and also with me in person, the tears she shed and said, 'That's my big sister, has to get better.' I know I argue and fuss with her, but I love my big sister and she has a lot to do and we still got lots to do together." That's what she said. So her love for you was never a mystery, but I knew when she addressed that how much you meant to her. And I'm glad that my mom held it together yesterday. She has done an outstanding job with all of this stuff, having to take on so much, and then also while we're again going to the service, and then hearing about Aunt Cleo having the mild case of coronavirus. I just you seasoned saints who know my mom, y'all already know this, but my mom is very, very strong, even with her voice, not just her voice, because we know how loud she can be, but she is very strong in being the foundation that I mentioned earlier about a lot of things that she has to deal with or encounter because of her relationship and her connection with the Lord. It's only because of that she is the way she is. God had already instilled all the things that He wanted in her to begin with. So she just puts everything into action and makes it be what it is. And sometimes she feels the emotion because we are human. We all feel emotions, especially about losing loved ones. But that's why they give other people, going back to what I was saying earlier about being there for your family members, treasuring all the moments and times you have with them. Those are included too when you need to embrace them and keep them, because even the strongest have moments where they need somebody else to remind them and also show them the compassion that they deserve or that they display towards others so much. They have to receive it too. So again, I'm proud of my mom for that. Um, and it's an honor and privilege to be her son. For me it is. I know she has other ones like my brothers and some of my friends, they still my brothers too, but for me, me personally, being her obviously her only son, to me it is her or not only son. You know what I mean? Her actual blood son. For me though, it's an honor to be called her son. So I love you very much, Mom. I know when you see this is at 3540. I love you very much. Um, in any case, let's get back down here to the I remembers. Let's see. Right here. I remember whenever Aunt Brenda introduced me to somebody new, she would say this. This is my nephew Billy, but I call him Bob. Isn't he handsome? And didn't he get all his good looks from his aunt? I guess that means that you were out of business during those moments, huh, Ma? She did respond to me yesterday on that too. I remember when I would rest on her and she played with my ears making satellite noises. Man, I remember those. Lord have mercy. And look at these Jones here. These some. I try and keep my hair covered up, but these some big ears, and she just used to go. Oh man, I'm gonna get on my nerves. I love her though. I love her truly. I do. I remember spending the night at Aunt Brenda's house playing on my cousin's Nintendo and eating hot dogs and homemade fries for dinner. She could make some homemade fries, but let me tell you, I done seen her a couple times, even during these older years, making them Jones and how thin they look, and they she'd hook it up. They look real good and they taste even better. Um, I remember the best science project she helped me ever make, the pizza cake. Oh man, I was a hit at elementary school that day when we had that science project come up in there. Like people had made all these other things. We made something unique. Ain't nobody never heard of no piece of cake. Not back in the '90s, not that I know of. But when we made that junk, I'm telling you, it came up in there and half of that thing was gone before people had even made their science project. That's why it's like, can you hurry up and do yours, Will, so we can see how it tastes? Brenda she set me up in a good way on that day. She really did. That thing was, oh boy, I don't even know how to make it no more. But I'm glad we got pictures of it. I really do, because that thing was on point. I'm telling you right now. I remember the birthday cake she made for me as a kid, and all the cakes and brownies over the years that came after it. I remember how she and I would always dance at my birthday parties, and all the times I dipped her. We was a hit then too, man. Let me tell you. Oh my goodness. Uh, I could get on Brenda a couple times. She had to help me out though, but we did our little twirls and twists and pull her one way and then she go the other way, and then we just. and, and the sound she would make when we get down, she go, oh. She's something else, man. She did unnecessary noises because it wasn't nothing wrong with her. She just being funny and silly, like I said before, making all them different sounds and gestures for no reason. But like I said, that was my auntie. That's just how she was. Um, I remember. Oh my gosh! Now we get into the good food parts here. I remember how she would make me pancakes, bacon, and sausage for breakfast sometimes, and she would just call down here. That's one of them. Hey Bob. She was like, "Hey Bob." Yeah, Aunt Brenda, what's up? I made you some breakfast, and she'd tell me what she made, and then somehow I would always make my way to get up there and get some. But yeah, and she made me like, usually you get like three or whatever. She made me a whole bunch of them for me to eat, and that just unfortunately I shouldn't have probably ate so many because then it put me right back to sleep. But they was good. They was great. Sure enough was. Um, how she made me specific foods during family gatherings that she knew only I would eat due to me being a picky eater. I'm gonna miss those too, man, because Aunt Brenda can make me some sweet potatoes or some chicken. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, buddy, I'm gonna miss those. It's all right though. It's all right. It's okay. She makes some really good food too, man. Like I mean, cause see, I don't eat all that like the. It's not really fancy per se, but it's specific stuff that be at food gatherings that I've had some stuff before, but it's not my taste. Over the years, I just didn't develop. I didn't eat it probably enough, maybe, or some things I ate and it just didn't resonate with me, and I ended up, regurgitating it because I just didn't like it, and that's just real facts. That's true. Um, but Brenda knew this, and that's why she made specific things for me to eat, so I wouldn't have to worry about, oh well, I'm not really eating nothing with the family, because you know how you offend certain people when you don't eat their food. You know what I'm saying? And she made sure that I had something to eat, so I was still in with the group. Yeah. So she took care of me. She really did. She took really good care of me as far as the food is concerned. She took care of pretty much everybody in here as far as food is concerned. Whether she wanted to do it or not, and the little facial expressions and gestures she made, it was always still out of love that she did what she did. And they'd be like, "Thank you, so and so. Thank either thank you, Auntie, thank you, Grammy, thank you, sister." And she just hit that. She'd be over there eating, come on, with her glasses. If I had one, I'd do. She just, and just keep while she in her phone. Oh my gosh. See, like I said, I got plenty of memories to go along with the stuff. It's just we were obviously on time constraints and I couldn't do all that. So I think this is probably a blessing. And I was going to say this at the end, but I'll just go ahead and say it now. I think it is a blessing that I ran out of time, because this right here allows me to actually genuinely get all of the elements that I remember so greatly about my aunt in more vivid detail, because I'm a detailed person, and this don't even really scratch the surface. All the stuff I'm saying don't even scratch the surface. I mean, we have people who have years and decades of history with Aunt Brenda that I can't even compare to. I only have a certain amount of stuff that I have with my aunt because that's my time, just like everybody has their specific time with me too. But I do appreciate the fact that I am doing this to give you guys a perspective of the relationship that I had with my aunt and just how much it really truly meant to me. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back here. Let's continue. I remember dancing at the cookouts with I remember Aunt Brenda dancing at the cookouts with all the other family members, from the electric slide to the cha-cha slide. So when that joint came on, she was gone. Right on over there with the rest of us, out there on that little blackboard, on that black top or whatever, the black gravel be at. That's where she was, right out there dancing with her. And sometimes she would take me out there and dance with her too. But yeah, definitely some good times on that too. Let's see here. And you know what I actually am going to do? I am going to, when I get finished this, I will post also the papers, so that way you guys can see, everything piece by piece of what I said. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm back. Had to take a little bit of a hiatus because my aunt. Well, no, not my aunt. I said that. Yeah, Aunt Brenda's still thinking on my mind. Um, just updating people about certain stuff, and my cousin, my aunt's daughter. That's what I was trying to say. she just left out the house to get something to eat. So I'm checking up on her, making sure she's okay, showing her some love and everything. And mom went out to take care of some stuff too, to which she will be reaching out to those and also thanking them for the cards, acknowledgments, respect, sympathies, all that good stuff. So stay tuned for all that information to come to you very soon. So now let me continue where I left off at. Trying to remember because I know where I was at. Here we go. Because the last thing I was talking about was the cha-cha slide and our dancing and stuff. So now let's continue from where we left off there. I remember riding in Aunt Brenda, Dawn, and Uncle Randy's truck, sometimes listening to go-go music on the radio. I remember when we used to go to the carnival and Aunt Brenda would always play the coin machine that gives you a ton of coins, when you push enough to the edge. Now, she used to play that machine quite a bit whenever we went to the carnival. Like, I know I said always, but like even when we was on our way getting ready to leave back out, sometimes she would play. I would end up being with either my cousin. We go out trying to ride the rides or whatever with my Uncle Randy. And then I come back and somewhere around the line, I see either she got that funnel cake in one hand or she over there on that machine pushing out them coins. And them Jones, I remember one time she got a lot of them Jones out of there too. A lot. And she would try different ones around that area too. It wouldn't be just the same one. But she knew she had the touch. She just put enough in there and she would get a whole bunch of them out of there. So Brenda was pretty good at that one. I know that for a fact. It's almost like it became second nature to her when she went to those machines and just was playing on them. At least from what I remember. Because I remember seeing her get some coins out of them, Jones. And I remember she got a lot of coins out of them one time in particular. I remember how she always got the funnel cake. I said that. I remember how she and I used to ride slow and fast rides together from the Ferris wheel to the roller coasters. Now that was my buddy. That was my roller coaster buddy. I mean that. Now, you couldn't get, just like Nevaeh, her first grandchild, same thing with Dawn. Roller coasters, no. It's a no-go every time. But me and Aunt Brenda, like that, we would get on them. Now the Ferris wheel, I know Dawn got on that one time, and she don't like them. Her and Nevaeh are like neck and neck when it comes to that. Now Tamaya, she cool. I think Tamaya would have to be my new running buddy when it comes to riding on the rides. She's gonna have to take Aunt Brenda's place because she don't seem to get scared of the roller coasters or the Ferris wheel. At least the Ferris wheel. I know for a fact she didn't get scared of the Ferris wheel. So, yeah, we're gonna have to make that happen. My buddy gonna have to start riding roller coasters with me, since Aunt Brenda, she gonna have to ride them on the other side, but she's still watching and seeing what's going on. So, but yeah, we used to get on so many different ones from Six Flags, not just the carnival ones. The carnival ones only got but a specific amount of them, and Six Flags and the actual like Busch Gardens when we went there, the water ones, like those were really good moments. They were, and I'm glad that I almost feel like in a way maybe my aunt put me onto them, because my mom, she'll ride them, but it's not really her cup of tea, so to speak. But Uncle Randy and Aunt Brenda, those two. So between Tamaya and Uncle Randy, Uncle Randy, you're gonna have to come up out of retirement. We're gonna have to go to amusement park or something, man, because we got some rides we gotta ride. You know what I'm saying? In honor of Aunt Brenda, most definitely. But Tamaya will have to be the secondary rider with us too, because I enjoyed riding those a lot with Aunt Brenda, and the water ones especially after we would just get soaking wet. Oh, my hair! But she knew it was coming. She didn't care. It's just when the water came, ah! Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. We really had some great moments, man. Those the roller coasters and the movies were probably by far the most funnest moments that I had. In addition to when I was playing video games with her, which I am gonna get to that too. Um, but I remember when my bros Devin, Pierre, and I rode with Aunt Brenda, and she excitedly scared us with her driving. That's when she had that. I think it was the Ford. I believe it was the Ford. It was a white. I know it was a white truck. I remember that. It's either Explorer or something else. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I do know that we was in the car with her, and she go flying down the street in Southview, flying up the hill, just driving around, not really doing nothing. Like obviously didn't take us on no highway or nothing like that, but just riding around in certain spots, just giving us little jumps here and there. But I did say she did it on purpose, of course. It wasn't like she was trying to just, do something accidental or whatever. But while that was not necessarily safe, it was also still a memory that was funny thinking about it now because of the way that she described how Pierre's reaction was towards his face that he made. Or she remembered those things vividly. I do remember riding in the truck with her and them and her doing what she did. Yeah, she she probably shouldn't have done. I remember when we used to go swimming, and Brenda and I would swim while Dawn was holding and protecting the side of the walls. My cousin never did learn how to swim. I did learn how to swim, and Brenda and I would swim quite a bit when she wasn't, making sure that Dawn was safe over there on that wall because she ain't letting it go. She's not. She will not let it go unless she can stand in the water, and even then, that's not sufficient enough. If that wall is there, she good to go. Now she did try, to learn, but I don't think she just ever got the hang of it. But me and Aunt Brenda and Uncle Randy, and my mom too. I think a couple times when my mom went, when we all went to a swimming pool together, we would swim. Mostly, because they didn't want to get their hair wet. Some of them didn't anyway. It was one of them little, them swim caps. I got one personally for myself for my dreads, but I know for a fact that they ain't want their hair getting wet. But I don't really think it bothered Aunt Brenda for real. For now that I think about it, because she was in there to swim. She was, and that's what she did when she wasn't protecting her daughter or wasn't playing with me. We sit up there, go underneath the water, hold our nose. Me and Dawn used to do that. Like when I actually could get her away from the wall, and we would be in the feet where she could handle standing. We would go underneath the water and hold our breath, with the little nose thing. See who could hold their breath the longest. Come back up. But like as far as like swimming goes, I think I had a race one time too with my aunt. I do remember swimming, racing her. Yeah, this was at that Temple Hills. For those who are familiar with the area, um, that Temple Hills swimming pool. That's like down the street from the Giant and the McDonald's. It's like right across the street, I think, from Crossland High School. I think that's what I'm talking about. It's like down the street from Crossland High School, actually. But yeah, that swimming pool, we went there a lot too, and that's actually where I learned how to swim. But as far as like me and our Brenda goes, like we definitely, I do remember having a race with her in that swimming pool, and she probably won. I just know I was swimming as hard as I could, but and I wish I had remembered that moment too, but I'm remembering it now, so that you can add in there too. Um, I remember exercising and Brenda watching me count my reps while playing Candy Crush Saga on her phone. I remember how she would make my healthy meals after I finished working out. I would ask her from time to time. She'd always said to me, she's like, Bob, I don't mind making you anything because you don't ask me to make you a whole bunch of stuff, unlike the rest of your folks around. But she never said that she wouldn't make those foods for them. She always did. regardless of how she felt. Like I said earlier, she still would do it. But I knew Aunt Brenda, I tried my best not to bother Aunt Brenda when it came to cooking anything. I would just make the stuff that I needed. And if there was something I specifically needed to be done, she just would make it for me, you know? So, I mean, I knew for a fact that if I needed something like really, really bad pertaining to my food stuff, that I could ask her and she would do it. So I definitely love her for being able to take care of those things for me. And she even taught me how to cook some stuff too. Um, the best techniques on how to make certain things, what the temperature I should use, how long I should have it sitting out, all those different number of things. So it wasn't just so much that she taught me, or it wasn't so much that she made stuff for me all the time, which she did, but she also, when I was up there, showed me and taught me how to make certain things so I would know how to make them for myself. So I thank her for that too. Um, I remember when I sometimes didn't have any money for food or gas, how Aunt Brenda uh, rode and she got rides from me and she would give me money. She would basically do both. Sometimes she would just give me money just because, which is true. Because when I was struggling, after I had lost my job and I just had been floating around, not doing no work when I should have been working, and Aunt Brenda was working at Shoppers at the time. And I had a car, but I just wasn't doing anything. I would give her rides to work or wherever she needed to go. Um, and she would just give me money, like she would give me money, and she would also put money in the gas tank, like I just said, to help me out, to just to make it to the next moment or the next day. I go to the grocery store. Since she already had worked at Shoppers, it was easy. It was a win-win situation. So I would, get certain stuff and she would use her discount or whatever, and she would help me out in that fashion. And I gave her rides to when we went to the Social Security building to get certain things done there, and for both me and for her. And then we would just go out to eat afterwards, and she would still put gas in the gas tank, and we went and just took care of some stuff, and like she helped me out. Now I'm not saying that my mother didn't, but it goes back to what I was saying originally. There were certain things that my aunt would do, almost in a sense, like we all got that specific family member who treats you differently from your parents. It's almost like how your grandparents are supposed to treat you differently. They let you do things that you wouldn't get away with your actual, mother and father. You get the concept. Y'all know what I'm saying. So in certain cases, that's almost like the connection or the relationship that I had with my aunt. It wasn't just a moniker that she was saying. It wasn't like she would just say I was her favorite nephew. She had examples and ways of showing that I was her favorite nephew, and she took care of me in that magnitude by helping me with certain things when I was struggling. And I did the best I could to help her out too. And I also not necessarily repaid her, but I did certain things that were my tribute to her, to honor her like I'm doing now, which is why I wanted to acknowledge these things. But yeah, she really did help me out a lot back then. And I could have been working or doing whatever else I should have been doing all along. And I have no shame in saying what I was saying or what I'm saying now about it, because again, it's those little key points and things that I took from my aunt, just like the things that I take from my mother and the things I take from my father and any other individual or any family member that I, associate myself with. I take little tidbits of things that they tell me and teach me, and I impact them and put them and instill them into my own, lifestyle. So the kindness and generosity that my aunt showed is a trait that I have picked up because it's the same one that my mother has. Those two both actually are very good in that aspect when it comes to looking out for other people or helping other people. And I'm pretty sure some of the people who are watching this that know my aunt have their own stories to tell about how Aunt Brenda had helped them out in some shape or form. So just, wanted to point out that, my aunt was very, very giving, at least to me. And it's not necessarily just because I was her favorite nephew, but I know obviously that had a piece to deal with in her doing what she did, but she did. She loved her family. She most definitely did. I remember how Aunt Brenda would sing her songs in the car, from Prince to John Legend to Beyonce, while they came on while I was driving in. How she sounded. I shook my head in disbelief, but I always laugh. I'm not gonna touch too much on Aunt Brenda singing, because anybody who been in the car with Aunt Brenda hear her little no. That's all I'm giving for it. They ain't doing no more for that. But if you heard Aunt Brenda sing, you don't tell her she can't sing. She can sing. She can sing. I remember how Aunt Brenda would wave her arms and show me her self-proclaimed flags. How she would pull out her teeth and make those silly gum smiles, and tell me to come let her give me a kiss. Um, yeah, I don't really know how to touch base on that one, because that's a lot to take in. Just watching her do that. She didn't care. She didn't. She did not care. That's how she was. That's what she wanted to do. And if you was there to see it, oh well. If you wasn't, she don't care. And I'm like paraphrasing some of the stuff that she would say when it came to her doing what I just mentioned. Um, I ain't never let her give me no kiss like that though. I'm not doing it. No, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I couldn't, because I was so busy laughing at what she had just did. That that was just something else to behold. That thing was funny to me. I'm sorry, it was. Um, and then if she had her teeth and and her stuff in her mouth, then most of the time she was doing what I'm getting ready to say next, which is I remember how Aunt Brenda used to have her tweezers pulling her hairs, and she would show me and say, that's a long one there. Yeah, just be up here like this. She obviously didn't have all this, but she'd be up there. Oh, that's a big one there. And just sit it right there on the counter. She is a trip, man. I love my aunt. She's something else. She's something else. I remember how Aunt Brenda would sit in her two favorite chairs in the kitchen or outside, and I did add this too, or in the living room, because she spent some time in there too, looking out that front window, seeing what's going on, and like I said, always get the action on what's going on across the street and neighborhood. And I know this because when I would come upstairs sometimes, she would tell me, she'd be the first to tell me, oh, them ones across the street, they done did so and so and so. Yeah, Bob, I heard them last night. They was out there arguing about this, that, and the third. And this morning he got up and he did. Like, how you know all this stuff, my friend? Because I watched them. You ain't supposed to be watching people. It's like, well, they sitting out there doing it, so I'm gonna watch them. She could tell me about who done walked their dog out front, who done moved their car, who she done talked to out there while they was doing all this stuff. parking. Our next door neighbors that she would socialize with when they came home or was getting ready to go out. I mean, she had some conversations and she inspected and investigated some stuff because she was always watching. um, I remember when I used to play with Aunt Brenda's hair, heavily brushing it with my hand, and she would nod. She would heavily nod her head forward, like I basically just. So Aunt Brenda, when she had all her, her hair was more lengthier than the short hair she had recently. I would literally, go up to him like, "Hey, Aunt Brenda," just pull her head back, and she just go, "Hey, Bob." But she knew that's because I loved her hair. I really did. Like I just loved messing with her hair all the time, pulling it back. Um, I remember when Brenda used to wash, blow dry, and put my hair in cornrows. And then the little, she even put the little seashells in because I like the sound of them clinging together. Like she really did. And Aunt Brenda hands would cramp up. Like she started like, getting a little she had gout at some points in her hands and it would be in her feet sometimes too. But this was well before then. But she was still getting cramps, from time to time doing the cornrows back then. But she, even if she had them cramps, she would never stop. She would still finish it. We would take breaks, of course, but she was, never just like, all right, Bob, I gotta do this later. I can't do the rest of this now. She always made sure that her nephew was looking good like her. So then I got my little seashells and we called it a day. Um, yeah, she did a pretty good job on my hair actually. For it just to be, straight back and whatnot, I can't complain. I thought I looked pretty good. I may even have some pictures of those saved in my album on my page. I'm not sure because some of those I have to go check the date of when I uploaded them. But depending on the day I uploaded them, if it's still in the early 2000s or 2010s, then I know my aunt was still doing my hair during that time. So if there's pictures of those with me having cornrows there and you happen to see them, it's probably because she had did those. And I think I know there is one specifically. Yeah, there is one specifically on there that I have a blue shirt on and I have my face just got finished getting cut and I had cornrows and I had seashells in it. That's one of them I'm talking about. Brenda most definitely did still do my hair during that time. I remember that. I remember now this one right here is probably one of my favorite times I had with Aunt Brenda too. And it's not we weren't really hitting each other, but I remember when Aunt Brenda and I used to play fight and she would get the suds from me and I would get pinched by her and back out from the battle after taking too many. So I would same time like when I come up there messing with Aunt Brenda here, doing a little stroke, she knew and she had started to learn that when I was doing that, I was getting ready to set her up for the game we was about to play. So she seen me coming and she had her tweezers ready. She would stop what she doing and have them ready to start getting ready to pinch me if she wasn't using her fingers. So I would come up on her and be like, "Hey, Aunt Brendie, how you doing?" And she's like, "Hey, Bob, you don't try it. You can come over here if you want." I said, "I ain't even doing nothing. I'm just coming to say hi and see how you doing." And so as soon as I got close enough, the minute I got close enough and I got finished brushing her hair, I slowly just take the back of her head and I get it in there and I take my little knuckle and I go, "How you doing, Aunt Brenda? That's my sis." I'm just basically just, taking my knuckle and I'm just plucking at her forehead with it like that. And that's when I left all of my lower body exposed because I had the top of her head right here at the top, almost like a nugget, but it's not really a nugget. I'm just, just giving the little knuckles into the top of her forehead because that's how we played. And so she had already got one hand pinching me and the other one, the tweezer just, and as many as I could take before I finally got up out of there, I would get as many as I could. And then once it started to hurt too much, I'd back out, and then either I come back later for some more, or we just be done and we carry on with the rest of our day like we usually did with each other, just talking and she watching her Food Network. I come up there, I sit up there and talk with her for a little bit, see what she watching on TV, which I'm gonna get down here too in a minute here. So it's like almost everything was routine, but it was also still a fun routine because I had that stuff already implemented with my aunt. The minute I seen her, I knew what we was doing, where we was going, if we were going anywhere, how we was going about our day, and how the day would end. That's pretty much the built up chemistry that my aunt and I had built with each other on a consistent basis. Um, so here we go. Uh, which brings me right to what I was just saying. I remember when Aunt Brenda and I would go out to do some shopping and then out to eat, where she would put me on to a lot of different places that made my favorite food she knew I love, which is pizza. She told me about we were supposed to, matter of fact, one day go down to one of those places when we went on vacation. Um, but of course, obviously, we can't now. But some of the place, like I know y'all probably familiar with it. Those who live in DC, Harris Teeter, they make pieces. She had put me on to them. The different places that we were going to go visit when we went on vacation were in those vicinities. Um, when I got excited when we went on vacation and I found some new place that was selling pizza, she'd go over there with me. Sometimes she would get something from there, but she knew pizza. If it had anything to do with pizza while she was there and she saw it, she would let me know. It's like, hey Bob, they got pizza over here. And whether it looked good or not, if it looked good enough, she would let me. She think I'd get it. If it didn't look good, she wouldn't say nothing. She would just look and see what she liked from there. And if it didn't look good for her, then nope, we're not going there. Let's move on to the next one and see whatever else they got to offer over here. But she knew if it came something to do with pizza, I gotta let Bob know this place makes this specific kind of pizza and how big it is and what the size is, the price, all that stuff. So she looked out for me. Like I said, she looked out for me real good. She did. Um, Her favorite Subway sandwich was a tuna fish sandwich. I know she used to get salt. I'm trying to remember certain things that she got on it, but I know she used to get salt. I think she got pepper on there too. Um, Gosh, because we went so many times too. That's like I'm trying to think. That's why I didn't really say it at the service because I didn't know the full detail. If I went back, probably if she had some receipts or something in her purse or something, I might be able to see what it was specifically on there. But I know for a fact that it's a tuna fish sandwich, without a doubt. That you can cool sure believe on because she had already made it clear that that's what she was going to get. And extra, I know extra mayo be on there. Um, Extra tuna fish too, I think. You try to get extra a lot of stuff, especially if it was free. Especially if it was free. um, with specific toppings, like I just mentioned, and and at McDonald's it had to be two fresh fillet of fish sandwiches with extra tartar, and her mocha choca frappe. That's I think that's the it's just the mocha frappe. But I don't know why she called it mocha choca. Like I used to ask her that all the time. She's like, because it's a frappe mocha choca. And I said, that's what I want. I want a frappe mocha choca. Like, but it's called I said, Aunt Brenda, it's called a mocha frappe. It's called a mocha frappe. And she's up here talking about something. That's what I said. That's what I said, Bob. It's called a frappe mocha choca. My mocha choca frappe. You can't tell her. If she said that's what it was, that's what it was. And I made a mistake of saying that one time too. And she used to do it all the time when we was in the car getting something from there. That's the first thing she would say. Let me get two fillet of fish with extra tartar and a mocha chocolate frappe. And the pause that the person would just make on the other side of the intercom. It's like I had to bail him out real quick because like I knew they was gonna ask her what did she mean by that, and I was like, she means a mocha frappe. She's something else, man. She is like I mean, we all got spins we put on stuff, but a mocha choker frappe. I don't want to personally choke on no frappe. Personally, I want it to be mocha enjoy, but not no mocha choker. But hey, that's what Aunt Brenda called it, and that's what it is. That's all there is to it. So, or a large iced tea would do it too. She usually got it before she got hip to the mocha frappes. She used to just get the large iced tea every time. But then she had to alternate because she didn't want to get both of them. She could get both of them if she wanted to, but she didn't want to get both of them. She had to have either one or the other. And I do believe the times that she did get both of them, that mocha frappe would stay inside the freezer. Yeah, so she could have it for later. And it's either the freezer or refrigerator. I'm pretty sure it stayed in the freezer though, because the ice is still in there mixed with all whatever other stuff is. But the iced tea, that would pretty much be what she drank with her fish sandwiches. Yeah, that's usually how that went down when she got both of them. I remember how sometimes, be it on the phone or me coming in the house, I would usually see Aunt Brenda watching one of her cooking shows on the Food Network. That's what I was talking about earlier, from Emerald to Guy Fieri, Bobby Flay to Rachel Ray. And she knew I had a little bit of a crush on Rachel Ray. And whenever Bobby Flay would come on the TV, we had this way of saying his name. Like I said, Aunt Brenda, what you up there watching? Bobby Flay. That Bobby Flay. She said, yeah, Bob, I'm watching Bobby Flay. I told her, I said, when you finally do meet Rachel Ray, you tell her she got dumped the one she got now and come be. we said some silly stuff, but we had so much fun, man. We really did. I remember Aunt Brenda being on the back porch grilling up something during the summer days, or when she was in the mood to make something specifically special for herself to eat. Depending on what it was and what mood she was in, you might get some, which is true. That girl said she could grill up some stuff, and she made me a whole bunch of hot dogs. I was set for at least 2 weeks on hot dogs when she grilled stuff for the 4th of July or just family gatherings, whatever it is we was doing. She would grill up some stuff. We would be set. That refrigerator would be stocked. Now, granted, it would be stocked with stuff that I also don't eat, but again, she made sure I had enough stuff that I eat, like my pork and beans, the hot dogs, the chicken, little drumsticks, both the baked and also the just this, the ones that don't have no grilled chicken. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I had those. I was set. My auntie had me set. That's all I can tell you. Everybody in here ate good. You can cool sure believe that. I remember when Aunt Brenda and I used to play billiards against each other on our phones and in real life, along with my bro and her friend Abby, or Abby Dobby, as she dubbed him to be. I only beat her a couple times because she was the pro whenever we played together, which she loved Abby, and I hope he does see this video at some point. But that was her little buddy that I had made friends with. She made friends with pretty much all my friends. Like, she was so cool, and a lot of them still consider her to be like one of the coolest aunts that they've ever met or known. And they even started calling her Aunt Brenda because, again, with them being my bros, basically, they inherited the family. And Aunt Brenda and them would have conversations about stuff. We were all just talking. We all just socialized. She was like a sponge that just soaked up and then just expunged all her greatness onto people. And my boys, my bros, they I know some of them will truly miss her uh greatly, especially the conversations that we all had. Um but back to them pool games, man, because Aunt Brenda stayed on her phone a lot. So she was really good at those games. And I thought I was gonna challenge her on some of them pool games on the phone. And she tore my tail up. I'm just sitting up there watching. I said, I might as well just put the phone down. Like, what you even? Then she knew she got so good to the fact that she would sit up there. I'd be doing something, and she knew, and she would send me invites to want to play the pool game with her, and I'm like, no, because you ain't. Because see, the minute I miss, it's over. You gonna basically just clean up, and I kind of felt like she would have done the same thing when we went out to play in real life. Which when we did play in real life, she was a mess on that table too. Mm, 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 mm. I think I would like to at least become really good at playing pool just so I could still live out as great as she was at playing pool. That is one of the things I did want to pick up and learn how to play really good. So I remember when Aunt Brenda used to play video games with me, hours upon hours, sometimes with my friend Lizzie and I, but usually just me. We played Galaga, Super Mario Brothers, and her favorite Wii Sports, tennis, boxing, and bowling were her main favorites on that game. She was really really good at the Wii Sports bowling game. She happened to come down. This is when everybody who had a Wii Sports or a Nintendo Wii console had the balance board and the Wii Sports games that came with it. You could really get a good workout from those. And Aunt Brenda, matter of fact, when I was working, she would come down here because she knew how to turn it on. She would play. Um, she would literally play the Wii Sports games, play the bowling game, and then I'd come back and I see this girl done sat up here and done took my score. I worked really hard to get to the high score I was at, and I come back and she done beat it. Now me and her got to have a challenge. I got to go to work or whatever, but I got to go work the next day. But it didn't matter. She done took my score, so we got a problem. So now me and her playing up against each other one on one. And she just the way she just flicked that she would. I wish I could get up and run and do it, but she would go, and she would just snap her wrist a certain way. So many strikes on a Wii game. Ridiculous. I can't believe how many daggone strikes she got. And yes, she did. She almost bowled a perfect game on that daggone machine. And then when she played boxing, like I said, she got a little. And she liked tennis too. Like, if you could have seen the way I seen her play them games, man, as funny as she looked when she was doing it, she was really good at a lot of them. Like, really, really good. Um, then there was the times when I was playing games and she wasn't down here playing with me. This is later on or whatever, but I remember playing online games with my friends, hollering and screaming and laughing so hard. And the next day when I saw Aunt Brenda, she would say to me, I could hear you through the vents last night. It must have been real funny because you just up there laughing. I was like, Aunt Brenda, first off, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was making all that noise and you had to hear me through the vents. But I didn't go like you doing. I didn't do all that. It's like, well, that's what I heard. You were sitting up there just laughing. It's like, you making me sound like I'm off of that Mars Attacks movie. It's like, well, that's probably what you was doing. Oh man. I regret have I regret that I remember that I made all those noises making Brenda hear me through the vents. I mean, she still got sleep, you know. It wasn't like I was doing it on purpose, but I was having fun, and she just reminded me of the fun I was having by imitating it. And it would get to a point where I would try to contain it, you know. But sometimes you get in there and it just happens, you know. So um I remember when Brenda and I would stay up late watching old classic TV shows and cartoons together. Now, Brenda and I used to watch a lot of when they first moved in and we were all together. Brenda and I used to watch a lot of um, the classic Batman 1969 show, and we used to watch a lot of Aqua Teen Hunger Force together too. Um, and it would just get to a point where we basically had specific characters from both shows that we would either imitate or we would just talk about the next day. Um, and we pretty much would like watch them even through the daytime. Like, you know, when I was off, sometimes she would just come down here while she's washing clothes or whatever, and we would sit down and we would watch these shows together. Um, Almost again going back to the routine aspect where we had these things we did, and then we would get ready to get our exercise. We would play our Wii Sports. That was our exercise together. So made sure. I mean, I didn't have to make sure. She did it on her own, but we we engaged in our time with each other, and then we engaged in our activity time with each other together. So she stayed active and did a lot of things before certain things started hurting more and more, and she just didn't have the means to want to come do anything anymore. She would still do certain stuff, but it just got to a point where she just wouldn't. And I understand, you going up and down steps. It's a lot of work. It is, depending on who you are and what you're doing and what all you're doing and your age and what you're not doing, what I'm saying, on a consistent basis. So I get it. But, that's why I made it my business from time to time to come upstairs and watch stuff that I know she liked. Because she and I were both watching stuff that she knew I liked. I mean, she watched it. She grew to enjoy some of those things. Just like I grew to enjoy the stuff that she watched. Like between her watching Steve Harvey show, Ellen show, Family Feud. Well, that's still the same thing. Well, the older ones that Steve Harvey wasn't on. You got Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune. Again, the cooking shows. I stayed up there and watched some of that stuff with her. Her little Dancing with the Stars, the same thing my mom be watching. I kind of go back and watch some of those things now too, because it reminds me of time frames when I watched stuff with our Brenda and the same way she watched stuff with me, and how our bond grew even more between those things. So, yeah, we watched a lot of stuff together. Thinking about it now, we did, yeah. I remember when we went on vacations and how Aunt Brenda would always have me take her swimsuit photo shoots for her and all the poses she had prepared for it, which she did. That girl could sit up there and pose all day long. And she just it's like, oh, hold on, Bob, let me get my good side. Oh, they both the good sides, but let me get That's why if you look through our family album photos, like there are different various pictures of Brenda and her poses that she had did. Cause she could pose all day long, I tell you that. And she was really good at it too. I think she did that. I think that for me was probably more exercise than the times we played all the games, because we was on the sand most of the time. When she was taking pictures, it was on the sand on the beach or at Myrtle Beach, so she was already comfortable because the ground was comfortable. It's just sand, so she could sit up there and get herself in a nice little position and take her little photos and do what she got to do. I think she took some pictures too in the swimming pool and also at the jacuzzi when me and her and Mama and the girls was going on vacation. But that was basically her time. Like, she made sure that she got her photo shoots done. So I'm glad I was able to take those pictures for her and get her in all her little wonderful poses that she wanted to be in. I remember the very special birthday bracelet that I bought on Brenda that she told me she would never take it off. And every time I saw her, it was on. I actually bought that for her about, I think, maybe 2 years ago. If not, it was last year. I can't quite remember because I had specifically got it. I put certain things on it, or I had designed it a certain way. And I think that's because that's the reason why she kept it, because it has such a specific message or specific sayings or whatever in it for her. Now, close to the end, before she passed away, she did tell me that she needed a new you call it the clip part, because that thing had broke off. That's the only reason why she wasn't wearing it anymore, from what I was told. But she still had it. Make no mistake about it. But I'm glad that she kept it, because when I remember, the only other thing that I know for a fact that she would never take off was way back on one of her birthdays when me and Nevaeh went to the store, and I told Nevaeh, I said, you pick out a bracelet or something that you want your Grammy to have, and we will wrap it up and I'll say it's from you, and you give it to her. And she never took that off either. She kept that one too. So those two things I know for a fact she still had, without a doubt. If teasers, then it was definitely that. I remember sometimes when Brenda, my bros, Cal, Devin, Marcellus, and I would go see DC and Marvel movies, how she would jump when something exciting got her on the screen, and then she looked over at one of us to say, she'd say, oh, he gonna get him now. And then she'd look. We saw you, Auntie, and it's okay. I remember a lot of times when she did that, matter of fact. And it wasn't just DC and Marvel movies, but like she would sit up there. Once something got really good when we was at the movies, she, oh, it's like, no, and I'm looking at her out the corner of my eye. Like, she tried to play it off. She did, but she never could do it, because she would swear up and down afterwards that she didn't sit up there and jump. But she did. She really did. And it's unfortunate that she wouldn't admit that she did, because it would have made it that much more funny. But it's okay. I mean, because we all got something that makes us jump every time we see it, or like people just jump us or catch us by surprise. It happens. And on Brenda's case, when it came to movies, there was a lot of times that she just happened to jump because something unexpected got her. But she always had fun when we went to go see them movies. Like, and she wasn't even into, superhero stuff. But some of the people that she had come to know and love along the way had, got her involved in that. And when she got involved in it, it made me happy because then I could actually talk to her about it. But I'm Brenda know everything. You can't. She's about as bad as my mom. Y'all know too much, so can't nobody tell you anything, and you already think you got the inside scoop. Cause she swear up and down that she know the next Marvel movie that's supposed to be coming out, and she know that so and so ain't done. But she don't want to spoil it for me. She'll wait until I see the movie. She's like, Bob, I just got finished seeing so and so, and I think it's gonna be another movie because after what I saw, they're not done yet. It's like, okay, Aunt Brenda, I know. It's like, but you don't know the history of the comics, so you just, it's like, well, I don't care about the history of the comics. I seen what I seen at the movies. And they said it's gonna be another one because I seen the piece at the end. Okay, Aunt Brenda, no problem. It's fine. That's what it is. That's what it is. But sometimes she would listen to us when we explain stuff. But most of the time, she already knew what she wanted to know or what she said she knows. So it is what it is. Anyway, moving on. I remember when I used to go to work. Now this one bothered me, but it's okay. It is. She was just being Aunt Brenda. That's just what she was doing. Uh, and I was going out the door. Aunt Brenda would pluck my nerves every time she would say, "Have a good day, Bob. Go make my money." It got so bad I had to say something to my mom about it. And then Aunt Brenda had came and told me, she's like, "Now, Bob, you already know I'm not, I'm just messing with you. You know that. Don't sit up there and get so touchy about it. I'm only playing with you." But I knew she was. It's just every day I went through the door, I used to, it got so bad to the point, and I'm gonna tell you, she still caught me off guard too. Cause see, I thought she was in the house one time. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out my back way because I ain't about to listen to her sit up there and say that. The car right up in the front of the house. But I said, I'm gonna take the long way just so I ain't gotta listen to it. And she somehow still knew I was coming through that door because the slide door, you could hear the slide door. And I was like, I tried to do it as slightly as I could. And she looked down and she said, "Bob, you thought you was slick." I said, "Go ahead, Aunt Brenda, just say it." That's right. Go make money. Oh man, she got me. She did. She did. She ain't always get me. There was some days I could slip past. Even and sometimes she would actually take a nap. I could actually get out. I didn't have to worry about hearing her say it. But she'd have one waiting for me when I got home. She's like, "Did you make my money today, Bob?" That's right. Just let it go. Stop saying that to me. Stop it. But now, it's cool. I look back on it now, and it's just funny. I mean, she was just playing. And I knew that from the jump. It's just I had to keep hearing it every day. It's like, at least if you gonna hit me with something, hit me with something new, because I know you got material. You always got something. You're supposed to hit me with something different. But it's okay. She hit me with what she wanted to hit me with, and that's what it is. So that's the way that's gonna go. I remember all the times I would tell Aunt Brenda about my strain and struggles I went through at work and personally, and the advice and comfort she gave me, followed by when it was pertaining to work. "Y'all want me to come work up there? I can run circles around that place, whip it into shape, and you can tell your manager to pay me underneath the table." She wanted to work. The conversation that I had on Brenda, she told me she wanted to go, she wanted to work. She wanted to do something. She didn't want to be up in the house and not do anything. So she had other activities to keep her occupied, but she wanted to go back out and do some work. And I admire her for wanting to do that in the times where she's supposed to be resting and recuperating. That shows you something about somebody. Like they're still willing to go out and do things even in the midst of the pain and stuff that they're going through, that speaks volumes about them. It really does. So if I could have, I would. When actually, matter of fact, when um, my friend Josh, he was the owner of the store I was working at. I used to tell him that Aunt Brenda wanted to come work up there, and he he made like little comments where he could try and get her up in there, but Brenda would have to go through all the proper channels, and she didn't want to do all that. She said, "Just pay me underneath the table. I'll come in there and do what I gotta do, and that'll be that." And I believe she probably would have too. I think she would have helped uh, to the best of her ability where she knew she excelled at, and she would have been a great employee. Then she had to listen to me because I was a manager. But when we got home, oh, see, that's why I'm probably glad that she didn't come work with me, because she probably would have really, I would have been the one getting the suds instead of her getting them from me. But that's okay though. That's okay. Um, I'm glad that she got to enjoy herself on the days that she was feeling really, really good, because she earned it. It's like my mom. They have done the service that they were supposed to do, and they are entitled, as all of you who have performed all the works that you were supposed to perform. I'm speaking specifically to the seasoned saints. All of you who have done the great works for your physical and also for the God that we serve. You all deserve to enjoy your rest and relaxation. And if you want to still do other things, you go right on ahead and do whatever it is you want to do. Do your heart's desires and God's desires. And you do them until you can't do nothing no more, or don't want to do nothing no more for real. When you decide you done and God says that you have done what you need to do, then that'll be that. So you good. Just keep on doing what you want to do, because we have breath and we have decisions and we have choices. But it can't be done without the Lord, most definitely. So again, I'm just thankful that my aunt was able to stay active and do what she wanted to do when she was able to do it. Um, the one memory I'll never forget was coming home and seeing all the ladies of my household. I used to see this a lot of times, but it was one specific time I saw this. It's like my mom, Dawn, Nevaeh, Tamaya, and Aunt Brenda sitting in the kitchen doing different things, but together as a family. I used to see that a lot. It's a good memory because, with me being the only male in the house and then coming home and seeing all of my family, the immediate ones that I have gathered around, seeing them all together, whether they were all, like I said, doing something differently, they still engaged with each other in some magnitude to where they were all doing something together. It may have started differently, they engaged with each other. And that's good. That's really good. Um, Social media and phones, a lot of things to this day, TV even, they're distractions, and they can put you away from your family members a lot more than you realize. And eventually it just becomes, just like I was saying, routines that me and Aunt Brenda had. It becomes routine. You don't socialize with your family enough. You don't talk to them enough. And then next thing you know, out of nowhere, they're gone. You know? So, like I said, while I've seen that several times, which is making me basically also say what I was saying in that, because I was supposed to say it. But um I say to you all, this is me reading from this again. I say to you all, cherish your memories with your loved ones. Make closer connections with your friends and family. Get those relationships that have gone bad in order. I never even remotely, and I'm speaking this both from this and also still from my mind, but I never even remotely thought that I would be doing this so early when it came to Aunt Brenda. But time doesn't wait for anyone. I implore you, do all that needs to be done with the time you know you have now. Through all the regrets and remembers, the greatest moment I have is that I can rejoice in knowing that my auntie has accepted the Lord as her personal Savior and is in heaven enjoying her mansion with all her riches and glories promised to her in her new life. It's somewhere between 8 to 11 years apart from each other. When he was staying with me and my mom, he was like the big brother that I didn't have, and I her did not hit me in the same magnitude that it did with my cousin because I and even now it's still kind of hard for me to process. I talk to my mom about it from time to time, but a part of me feels as though going back to those things that the ways that Brenda was towards me, after she had her that health episode that I had called, and I stayed with her where they said it may have possibly been a stroke. Um, things in that situation just, it was never 100% the same. But I knew my aunt still loved me, without a doubt. And when she had did those things, she had never apologized. But I knew, again, because that's the relationship that me and my aunt had, just like when we had them arguments and we would go months and months and not talk to each other. This one was completely different. And again, it was the devil that was trying to use and manipulate both her mind to say the things that she was thinking that I was saying about her, and me not being the man of God that I was supposed to be, realizing and praying for her at that time, because I already did afterwards, long afterwards, when I finally got the revelation that I should have had then. But during that time, those things ate me up. And I think the reason why I didn't react to the passing of my aunt the way that it probably should have been more natural for people who just, when they hear this stuff, is because a part of that was still dwelling on my inner spirit. But I had let that stuff go. If that makes any sense. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I don't love my aunt or don't care about my aunt, because clearly everything that I just got finished explaining before I conclude all this shows how much a great length of detail I remember and the good positive memories that I have with my aunt. But what I'm saying is that one instant that that thing took place, it dwelled and dawned on my brain for so long that I think when my aunt finally did pass, instead of me embracing her the way that I should have, some of those things were still dawning on my brain. But I still love my aunt. I still love and cherish her. I care about her. I adore all the moments and times that we spent together. And those you can't take away. Those are always there forever. I just wanted to make it clear that it did take me about 2 days before I finally did. Like, I had to do certain things to get myself to that point, because I knew eventually it was going to come. I just didn't know how it was going to come. And I wanted it to come on my terms. I didn't want it to come because of something that was going on, family related, which that's when it can hit you the most, when you see other people that you care about suffering because of the same stuff that you have to suffer with. But I wanted mine to be out so I could be the strength and the rock that I mentioned my mother is for the rest of my family members. So I ended up letting mine go 2 days after my aunt had already passed. I was at work. I played some of my music, and the music that I was playing helped me remember and reflect back on those moments so I could get that out of my system. And the only other time I did get to the point where I got is, I will read it to you, when I was reading it to my mother, making sure that this was still coming out correctly. But first, let's continue where we are. And then when I get to that point, I will let you know right before I start where it came. Where the second emotion for me came. In any case, now I know that there will be an altar call given, which this was really important to me too, and still is, because I know a lot of my friends and also others who will watch this still have not accepted Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior. And it really is important. I cannot stress it enough. I know people try to, they don't like being preached and ministered to, and they get the wrong impression when it comes to people talking to them. But sometimes it takes your very own friends, the loved ones, the ones that's close to you, to minister to you, to get a real revelation. And even then, sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want it to, but we pray for each other, and we just keep believing God that somewhere along the line, somebody or something is going to spark and say, this is it. I need to give up my life as I know it and turn over a new leaf and become a part of the family of Christ Jesus. So In any case, I said, however, I personally wanted to reach out to those that I specifically know have not accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior, because Aunt Brenda is rejoicing in heaven now and would definitely want to see you again. And those who actually have accepted the Lord that you know that have gone on to be with him as well would want you to do the same too. Because life is not promised every day. We don't know. Just like I said, your time here could be gone in an instant. And you need to make this a personal thing that is done. Don't put it off because you don't know how much time you have in order to do something like that. Especially what's going on in the world now with the coronavirus. No. We need to be drawn more to God now more than ever. We do. And I have taken a drastic turn about a lot of things that I try to put off from doing, as far as my mindset, my wording, my phrasing, the demeanor that I show towards others. Like I minister, me and one of my brothers, Marcel's, we minister every week in our work chat to people about God. He usually does a sermon, and I usually do the praying, and I touch base specifically on accepting Jesus. I bring it up on several occasions when I can. And thankfully, because the owner of the company I work for does believe in God and has a relationship with him as well, he's allowed me to do that. He's even put me on notice in front of everybody else, telling them that they are not to, bother me whatsoever and show me the respect that I have given towards being the individual to put this out for them. So I definitely am grateful that I have the platform to do such a thing and also try to save souls. So all of us can go see all of the family members that we are supposed to see that have accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior when we pass from this earth. And I look forward to seeing my auntie along with my uncle and my nephew and not my nephew, my cousin and my aunt. I look forward to seeing all of them because I know every last person that I mentioned before I said the prayer, along with my aunt, have accepted Jesus. So it's a day of rejoicing. I get to see them all again when I transition over into eternal life. So I'm asking that you all pray this prayer. O God in heaven, in the name of Jesus, I believe with all my heart that Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus, come into my heart. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Now I come to the final piece that was the piece that I struggled with when I was explaining it to my mother before I broke down my second time. And thankfully, I did not break down when I did the service on Tuesday insane. The only thing I probably should not have done was look back after I said what I said to Aunt Brenda, because that is nothing but the shell of a remain. My Aunt Brenda is up there. She was no longer in that body that we saw sitting inside the casket. I just want to make that known. I know that people have a tendency to do that, but I'm just explaining, just like Pastor Rick was explaining. The transition has already taken place. She is where she's supposed to be in the presence of her Almighty God. That's where I should have looked up when I did what I did. But let's just say, I'm going to finish it with the words that I said yesterday. In closing, I have a lot of aunts that I love very much, but only one that I know for a fact every time she spoke to someone about me, whether I was in front of her or heard about it from someone else, she always said this one thing about me. So as I say my farewell for now, thank you for not just being my aunt, but a mother and a best friend who always had time for me and gave me as much love as one could possibly give. I am forever eternally grateful, and I hope I lived up to the expectations of what you self-proclaim me to be to others. Your favorite nephew, as you can be assured that you are always now and forever titled my favorite auntie. I love you so very much, Aunt Brendie, and I'll see you later. Thank you. And that concludes my story, Aunt Brendie. So thank you all very much for watching. Take heed of the things that I did say, not just the memories, also information about receiving Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Take advantage of all of the opportunities that you have. I love you guys very much. Thank you very much again for listening. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.